As I mentioned, this is Good Shepherd Sunday, and each of the three cycles here, A, B, and C, we have a selection from John chapter 10 about the Good Shepherd. Well, what's one of the many interesting things is that here we have a kind of a mixture of images and symbols, which of course is fitting because no image or symbol can completely capture the mystery, much less any concept. So here we have Jesus say that, we see him all the time as the Good Shepherd, which he is. But today he says something that we don't usually picture or imagine. He says he's the gate. He's the gate to the sheepfold, as well as the Good Shepherd. And that phrase reminds us of some other things. For example, even when he says that whoever must enter through me if they're not to be a thief. When he says no one comes to the Father except through me, he says a few chapters later. Or the phrase from the Acts of the Apostles, there's no other name given under heaven by which we're to be saved. We have to be careful how we interpret that, especially how we live it. Because sometimes you have, in various quarters, the idea, well, I profess Jesus is Lord, I accept Jesus is my Lord, and so I'm saved. And meanwhile, you can wind up being just as venal, egotistical, vengeful, nasty, militaristic, violent, materialistic as anybody else. All the while professing the name of Jesus. Well, that's not going to work. Sorry. What does it really mean to follow the voice of the shepherd and to enter by the gate? Well, first of all, the obvious thing is you have to learn to recognize his voice. When is his voice speaking among all the other voices that are out there and that sometimes even pretend to be his? What does Jesus' real voice sound like? And you can't know that. We can't know that without going deep into ourselves, praying deeply, listening to Jesus, learning to listen to Jesus, and thereby learning to recognize his voice. And there are a good number of indications right in the readings today of what his voice sounds like, what he preaches, what he represents. He says you go in and out, you find pasture. There's a certain freedom of liberation, which is a wonderful biblical image, of course, of the Exodus. We're freed from the many slaveries that we have, and we're led into the promised land. So wherever there's freedom, wherever there's freedom from oppression of all kinds, that's where Jesus is working and speaking. Or as he says himself at the end of the gospel, I came not to slaughter, destroy, manipulate, and use. I came that they might have life and have it abundantly. So that's a good way to measure whether Jesus and his Spirit are at work, whether we're really listening to him and entering by that gate. Wherever life is enhanced, wherever life on any level is respected, wherever life is promoted, wherever people experience the fullness of life, the possibility of a greater fullness of life, wherever and whenever and for whomever and by whomever that happens, the voice of the shepherd is being listened to and one is entering by the gate. Or the second reading speaks about the behavior of the shepherd himself. Jesus in his own life, where he says, where he doesn't return insult for insult, where he suffers and doesn't threaten. Forgive them, Father, they don't know what they do. So, wherever there's actually forgiveness, reconciliation, pardon, a disavowal of any kind of vengeance on whatever level, personal, familial, national, international, the gate is being entered and the voice is being listened to by whomever and whenever. And where that's not happening, where there's not the beatitudes of meekness and forgiveness and mercy and love and hunger and thirst for justice and peacemaking, wherever there's not the nonviolence of Jesus in his teachings and in his actions, it's not Christianity, it's not Jesus. That's not the gate. That's not the voice of the beloved. That's not the voice of the shepherd. I don't care if it's Christians who are saying it. Nor do I care if it's Muslims or Buddhists or atheists who are forgiving and working for justice and peace and who are nonviolent, who are meek and promoting life. They're following the Good Shepherd and listening to his voice and entering by the gate, whether they call it that or not. And those, perhaps even Christians, who are not doing that, are liars. They may pin labels of Christian on themselves, but they're just labels. Just as Buddhist or Muslim or atheist, they're just labels. They're just labels, they're just words. What matters is what's in the heart. What matters is in the action. What matters is what we actually do. Are we entering by the gate in fact or not, whatever we call it? Whatever anybody else calls us. That's what's important. That's the voice we have to learn to recognize and to esteem in others, however, whenever, by whomever, and to whomever it appears. Don't fall for labels. They're way too easy, either to dismiss or to justify. We get off easy. That's it, getting off easy today. So that's all I'm going to say.